Yeah, I know. Get ready.
You can take a photo now, even though we're live. It's all good. You can take a photo. Alrighty. Welcome to Leadership with Sonia, and I'm just saying to Rebecca, I'm not 100% today, so after this, I'm going to go back to bed. But Rebecca and I have been wanting to chat for ages. As you know, I love talking to remarkable humans and leaders and women, and Rebecca is definitely one of those incredible and remarkable leaders and humans and women. She took my headshots, which are amazing. She also, her company and her team were photographers at the Outstanding Leadership Awards. And they were amazing as well. So she's all about leadership and branding and helping women step up and shine and showcase who they are. Well, everybody really in terms of photography work, but I know she made a huge difference for me, because I remember, I think it was when I was 50. I just turned 50, or it was around that time, and I was like having tears in my eyes going, oh, like this is a bit scary. But so Rebecca, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that amazing introduction. Yeah, thank you for having me today. So, yeah, I do remember a photo shoot.
Yeah, tell me about your story. Tell me about why, and how you got here today.
Yeah, I actually, so yes, I'm a branding photographer. So I still lead the company in terms of I'm still the lead photographer, but I also have a team of photographers that work alongside me and produce, corporate team photography and whatnot. But I think what drew me to well, I know what drew me to it was the transformations that I saw happening. So I worked at a photographic studio in my sort of early 30s, and I'd been always working in creative fields, but just love seeing this transformation of particularly women who are going into the studio as one version of themselves, and then were coming out with a whole new sense of self. It was like I was just seeing these little moments of awakenings, and they were just able to see a side of themselves that felt empowered and confident and just authentic and real in themselves, and knowing that that was enough. And so that was really the impetus. That was really the first step when I just went, that's it, light bulb moment. I'm going to set up a photography studio. And that evolved into working with, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, working alongside corporate teams, executive CEOs, and predominantly working with women. I do feel like that tends to be where the direction of the work that I go in. Particularly love seeing women lit up by being involved in creating a change, a positive change. So whether that be through their work or through their relationships or through their communities, I feel like the photography really helps build that level of feeling comfortable and confident to be seen. And so I work a lot with leaders and helping them, not just through the photography, but also just coaching and understanding that, it's not about me. It's actually about the bigger contribution that you're making. So, I try and reframe that as much as I can to leaders, because even those who are just, speaking on stage, writing books, you get them in front of the camera and it's a whole different ball game. All the vulnerabilities come back up again. So I see it over and over again with my clients, those vulnerabilities and fears around visibility and showing up.
So is it something that you wanted to do? Like, obviously it's really powerful work that you're doing, and obviously I've experienced it and it was amazing. Is it something that you wanted to do when you were little? Like, how did you get here? Like, what was kind of your story to where you got to hit to now? Like, is it something, did you have a camera when you were little?
Yeah, it's funny because actually even in my high school, my HSC, year 12, I chose photography as one of my core subjects. And so I was always in the dark room and loved taking photographs of people. But I always treated it as, oh, this is my side project or this is my passion project. It was never a career focus. And throughout all the work that I did working in theatre companies, digital design studios, marketing, Melbourne University in the theatre department. All the while, even though I wasn't being the photographer, I was essentially always still taking photographs of the people and, using the photographs for marketing, or I was producing even flyers and promotional material for different productions that we were involved in. And so I use photography in that way, but again, it still just never felt like, oh, this was just going to be a fun thing on the side. And then it wasn't until I worked at that photographic studio. It was a startup. Actually, they were a company that were doing great work in Perth, but then relocated and built up a whole new franchise in Melbourne. And I was living there, and I managed to work as a studio manager. So for me, in that photographic studio, and it just all came together. I actually it was in the GFC when I was working at I'd gone from working in productions and theatre and producing, range of like theatre performances, radio productions, lots of different things in the arts world. And then I'm retrained and did a master's of communication design. I always loved the visual arts as much as I love the performing arts. And that is what kind of led me into then exploring more visual sides, more branding work. And I actually felt like, I'd landed on my feet because I got a great job out of after graduating, and I worked at a global branding studio. And, so it was working with companies on their brand, not so much the human, but we treated that company as a human, really, with personality and vision and values. And then the GFC hit, and a whole team of us got made redundant. And I was like, oh no, finally I've landed on my feet. This is what I want to do. But there was challenges within that role too. And actually what it did is the GFC and what happened just freed me. I just went, what do I really want to do? And this ad just popped up, and I went, I'm just going to go for that. And then I ended up getting the role of studio manager. And I just felt like just following the breadcrumbs of curiosity. And that to me was, again, another point where I was like, photography, it just kept coming up and up and up and up throughout everything. And even my internship at university, my undergrad was at a photographic studio, and they offered me a job, and I just still went, no, it just didn't feel like at that point it could ever be a career. Anyway, I've been now a full-time photographer and running this studio for over 15 years now, as when I first started it. So it's been going really well. And, whether there's upturns, downturns, everyone needs personal branding photography. So it's worked in really, really well. And it's definitely aligned very much with my own values and, kind of legacy that I want to leave as well.
And leadership. You're really passionate about this leadership space as well. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I had so basically I started a project called the Redefining Leadership campaign.
Yeah.
And it started because I had over and over again had clients who were leading teams and, creating cutting edge technology, and they were, producing books, and they were, at the forefront of their industry. And yet I talked to them about this word leader. Oh yeah, you're a leader. I love that. And they were like, leader, like it was just this really aversion to it. And it got me digging into this word leader. And what does it mean to be a leader? What is a great leader? What are the attributes of a great leader? Who is a leader? And what that means for different people. And so I set this kind of path for asking my clients to share their version of what leader means to them, what great leadership means to them. And, and Sonia, thank you for contributing as well. So the eMag is actually coming out really soon, and this month. And it is about putting a spotlight on leadership and showing that, what defines leadership is actually different for lots of different people. There is no one size fits all, but across the board, from all the contributions made by all the leader clients, like CEOs, I've got, all the top clients, including Sonia, who's an absolute brilliant example of true leadership. And what they've said is, authenticity, heart, courage, kindness, these really soul-led values are actually what makes a
Yeah.
great leader. And that's the message I just really want to share with young emerging women, whether that be women in corporate, women emerging as business owners, to actually know that they too are a leader in their own way, in their own style. And if more women step into leadership, then I think that we can make it, help to make a more equitable, globally, make the world equitable and balanced for all of
Yeah,
us. So,
true.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a real passion project around what leadership is and how we can redefine it so that more women step into leadership roles.
And what's been, I'd say, for you in terms of you think about leadership in your story? Have you had any defining moments when it comes to leadership in your life?
I always, when I think about leadership, because I'm in the personal branding space and I'm working, a lot with, other personal brands and
Mm.
helping them develop their personal brands. And so really my sort of context is around that. And I always think about, who do I see as being a great leader in that space of like
Mm.
that personal brand, who has created that really strong personal brand. And it's always links back to people who stand for something. They know themselves in a way that there's a line that they've sort of drawn where if it gets crossed, they're going to speak up, they're going to share it, they're going to say what's been bothering them, they're going to come from a place of authenticity and know that their values are, they stand by their values. And I think when when you see leaders and personal brands who really just speak up and share what they believe, their why, their story, and they share it with heart and passion, and people, feel that, I think that's what makes a really strong leader, especially
Yeah.
in that space. Yeah, I think about, leaders like even Marie Folio or, obviously got like Richard Branson, they really stand for something, and they've people like yourself, Sonia, vulnerable about what you feel and what you stand for and what you think is wrong in the world, or what gives you the icks, and then starting a conversation around it, and then helping to drive positive change. I think for me, that's what makes a great leader, or working towards a common goal of creating some positive, really big impact. It doesn't even have to be big impact. I think there's a ripple effect out, right? Like it can be a small impact, but you affect enough of a group, and then there's just a major ripple effect that happens after that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you think about people or leaders in your life that have made a difference to you, I mean, any in particular that you can think of that have stood out to you, that have helped you or served you or made an impact?
yeah, I remember actually even when I first started my photography business, and there wasn't a lot of mentors really in my space.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of mentors that I resonated with, but there was one in particular, Jasmine Starr, who's she's a photographer. She was a wedding photographer, and
Yeah.
now she leads a huge company, social media strategy consultations. She works with global companies now in that space. But she is someone who, when I first started, I loved her approach. Her approach was all around authenticity. It was around attracting people who resonate with you, and those that don't, you can let them go. They're not the people that you want to serve anyway and want to work with anyway. So it kind of liberated me. It made me go, oh yeah, you don't have to try and be anyone else but yourself, because the more you are expressing your fun side, quirky side, joyful side, crazy side, I don't know, all the different sides of
Yeah.
yourself openly, the more you're only going to attract people who actually just really like that about you and want to work with you because of those certain traits or personality quirks that you might have, rather than feeling scared to holding back on who you are, whether that be when you're sharing, social media posts, holding back can actually sort of make the people that come to you be maybe not the people that you necessarily want to spend your time working with. Can be quite
Yeah.
drained by some of those. So actually, the more that you actually just show up authentically as who you are, the more you'll just attract in the right opportunities, the right clients, and you'll serve at your highest potential as well, because you'll just be, work won't drain you. It will be inspiring. You'll be excited and lit up by what you do because you're just being yourself while you're doing it. So I think that was a really powerful message from that leader.
I love her name. What a great name.
And it's a great name. It's a great stage name. As a star.
It inspired me to change my name. Because I am looking at changing my name maybe. So Sonia Star, but no, Jasmine Star's the real name. She sounds amazing. So for you, what's next for you? Like, what's your vision? Like, where are you wanting to go? Like, what's the next few years look like for you in your business?
So definitely, practicing what I preach, so I talk to my clients about, sharing your contributions, being visible, stepping up, standing out, with the sharing your value, sharing what you know and your expertise by helping people. You can then, create a bigger, impact and potentially change more people's lives for the better. So I'm practicing now what I preach. So I'm, looking at, doing having speaking opportunities, doing more of that, running workshops, facilitating, whether that be in corporate or in a small group environment, leading either, people who are passionate about what they do and wanting to make a bigger contribution, helping those people feel really confident to show up, and using photography more as a tool for that. So yes, you'll end up with beautiful photographs, but actually photography has the power to really change who you are at the core, I believe, and I've seen it. So I feel like that's what I want to do more of, is bring that photography into that sort of deeper transformational space. And and I think that collaborating is a really important thing with other coaches and people also in that space. And also shining a light on my fabulous clients, who are doing great work in the world and inspiring more women to step up, step out, lead, and show that they're, leading from the heart. Actually, I just picked up a bit of I received a contribution from one of my clients who wrote about leadership being, leading from the heart, and then it actually tied in with one of this great quote around, hustle to heart. And I think that, leadership's often, the example's been about hustle and grind and, ego and power and enforcing and pushing and, getting really burnt out at the same time. And I think that now that narrative is changing. And so I kind of want to be part of that, helping to change that narrative so we do see more women stepping up and into leadership.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the mission we're all on at the moment, which is it is about collaboration collectively, how we can do that. So what's been your biggest learning in your business or career or life? What's been your biggest learning?
Well, always learning, right? Even this year, so imposter syndrome, when you get to a place where you think, oh, you've got it, and then another fear creeps up because you're totally out of your comfort zone. And even awards is something that I've never really sought after, or accolades. I'm just happy doing my thing, and but there was an award that I entered this year, and I thought, you know what, it's time. I'm just going to put it out there and see what happens. And I actually just felt like the process of even just submitting an application was really cathartic and really fascinating. And actually even that in itself was like winning an award. So that was great. But when I got up onto the stage and they said my name out as the winner, I just got an absolute shock. And they say that you're there as a winner, like you've got every potential, and, and absolutely I do. But it's funny how even in my own story, I was like, no, someone else would surely win that.
Yeah.
And it was a really good lesson in, not assuming that everyone else has got it sorted. Everyone else knows more than you. Everyone else is, putting everyone else on a pedestal. Doesn't actually serve you in the long run. And even just to give things a go, just give them a shot. You
Yeah.
know, and the more you do it, the more you overcome that fear. So even just having to have, you know, I was up on stage, you know, being the first speaker of the, you know, accepting an award. I had to speak on stage to accept it. And you know, being the first one, all eyes are on you. And actually, just even that experience in itself was a really good lesson. It taught me to overcome, again, more fears around, you know, speaking on stage. So, yeah, always learning, yeah, new things. And, but that was probably a really big one this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
well done. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You really deserve that. And it's so important to put yourself out there and go for these awards. It is.
Yeah.
It's so important that you're celebrating your life. I guarantee your 90-year-old self, Rebecca, will be very happy that you you did that. So
Yeah. Yeah, it gets you on the run. You're like, okay, now what? Okay, cool. That you know, that worked well. I've done that
yeah,
now. It gets it builds momentum, I think, too, doesn't it? For the next thing. You think, oh, you know, now you know, I can do that. So
yeah,
it does allow you to see, yeah, your potential more fully. So yeah, so and it does then help me then help other people who are interested in working, you know, in whether they're wanting to participate in awards or, you know, get up on stage. It's the more I'm learning and discovering tools to help myself overcome
yeah.
all of that, then I'm able to help my clients as well. So yeah, so it is just yeah, all the big learning journey, isn't it?
It is. So what advice, just my last question around, if you
Yeah.
could go back in time and say something to your younger self, what would you say? What advice
I'd
would you give
say,
your
oh, you know, I'd just say give everything a try. Just there's no such thing as failure. It's all learning. And
Oh,
if you've if follow the instinct, follow the feel good, because if it feels good, there's something in you that feels right. So I think just learning to just let go of all the second guessing and analysis paralysis and judgment. Just if it feels good and you feel lit up and excited, just go for it. Give it a try. And you never know what you might learn, discover about yourself, discover about other people, you know, the connections you might form. So I just think give it a try, even if it's following a new passion.
yeah,
You know, just give it a try. If you have an idea, you know, give it a try. If you've got a new product, just give it a try. Like you know, if there's content that you want to write and post and share, like just give it a try. Like just you'll never know what the feedback or reaction is going to be until you actually do it.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And what about now, like any final words to anyone that's listening today, that's watching you and thinking, wow, like how can I contact Rebecca, or I'm thinking of putting myself out there, or I'd love to be in a room with her and getting her to really showcase or bring out my authentic self. I mean, what would you say to people listening?
Yeah. Well, I definitely would say that it is a practice. So, you know, things don't just happen overnight. There's definitely tools around how to overcome a lot of those fears to speaking on stage or sharing posts publicly, even sharing photographs of yourself. You know, it's one thing to be photographed, and then the next stage is actually sharing that publicly, sharing
Yeah,
yourself publicly. And I mean, something that I've learned as well is that, you know, the more that you show up, so whether that's photographs or it's your writing or, you know, anything sharing your ideas, the more you show up, the more you're building rapport, you're building connection. And so it's not people get scared about sharing photographs of themselves because they think that, oh, everyone's going to judge them and think that they think they're too good, they're showing off, you know. And really, but then if you look at other people online who are showing photographs of themselves, who are expressing themselves and sharing their ideas, you don't see that about them. You see them as, oh, cool, I'm
yeah,
getting to know them. I'm really getting to know what they're about, and I really love what they do, and I'd love to work with them, you know. And yet for yourself, sometimes it gets scary when you put yourself in that same perspective, then you're suddenly,
yeah,
you know, feeling scared. And I think if you can just try and reframe it and see it from the other lens, where actually the more you contribute, the more you show up, the more you share, the more you're going to just build trust, connection. You're going to build an authentic leadership brand that's going to help inspire and make the world a better place. So I think it's about that reframe, and it's about that practice that you do, every day around that. So yeah, I would say, yeah, just get practicing with actually sharing and showing up. And the more you do it, the more confidence you'll actually gain just by the actual act of doing it.
And if they wanted to contact you about all this around your workshops and your packages and getting photographed with you, how would they go about that?
Yeah, so definitely the best place really is to go straight to my website. So it's rebeccataylor.com.au. And you'll see there individual packages. You'll see there's information about workshops. There's some free tools and trainings. So you can definitely find a lot of information through that, but then also come and just connect with me, send me an email, get in touch, and then we can start the conversation, see how we could work together or collaborate together, or I can help you to, overcome a lot of those visibility fears, and then, transform your brand through photography as well. So yeah, I would love to.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you for being on today's Leadership with Sonia.
Thank you.
And thank you for being such a star and being such a powerhouse and trailblazer in this space. And please reach out to Rebecca. And she does phenomenal work in this space. She did some beautiful photos for me, which I love. So thank you for being so awesome, and thank you for taking some time out to talk to me and our audience, and can't wait to see what you're going to be doing with this keynote speaking, which I'm very excited about.
I can't wait. Yeah, lots of things in the pipeline. So yeah, I can't wait to share that more with you, Sonia, soon too. Yeah. Thank you for your help and for your inspiration as well. So, you're definitely a leader that is, definitely on my inspirational list, and I love following and, being a part of your community too. So thank you for you showing up so authentically and vulnerably as well. So it is a real inspiration.
Thank you. And we're revamping the Leadership Collective, so that it's going to be a brand new Leadership Collective in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. Make sure you join. It's going to be even bigger and better. So again, thanks, Rebecca, for being a supporter of that. And can't wait to see you keep growing and keep using your beautiful and amazing voice of yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again. Yeah. Take care, everybody, and stay kind and stay courageous. Oh.